So to understand why the body goes through menopause, you sort of have to understand why the body doesn't go through menopause. How does it normally work? And so what happens is there's hormones that are made by your ovary, particularly estrogen and progesterone, and the production of those hormones are actually controlled by the brain. And so there's this what's called in medicine a feedback loop, but you can call it a dance between the brain and the ovary. The ovary makes hormone, the brain is able to sense whether there's the amount of hormone it thinks should be there. If not, it sends signals to the ovary, hey, make me some more. Ovary makes more, or it says, hey, slow it down, make less. And so there's this whole communication and interaction between the brain and the ovary to get the hormones just right. The job of the ovary is to make eggs so that you can reproduce. It's philosophical, but what's the meaning of life? Some would say the meaning of life is to reproduce your genes, to carry on your DNA to the next generation and through perpetuity. That's why are we on Earth, to make more of us. And that's sort of, from an organism point of view, it's what we do. And so the body is built to reproduce, and the ovary's job is to make the eggs so that reproduction can happen. Making those eggs is, it's a dance with the brain. So there's a change in estrogen, and then there's a change in progesterone, and then there's another change in progesterone, and back and forth that the brain is telling the ovary, do this, do that. And when everything's going well, you have this nice 28-day cycle where you make an egg. The period happens when the egg doesn't get fertilized, and the uterus had been all prepared for this fertilized egg. When it realizes, hey, egg didn't get fertilized, then it sheds that extra tissue it had, and that's what a period is. And then the whole cycle starts again. As the ovary starts to age, it becomes less efficient in its ability to make estrogen and progesterone. And so what happens is it becomes, a less efficient dance partner. So a young ovary, it just needs a teeny little nudge from the brain. Oh, you want me to move this way? Oh, you want me to twirl? And so the brain doesn't have to push the ovary very hard, and they're wonderful dance partners. But as the ovary ages, it becomes less adept. It becomes less efficient in making these hormones. And so these little nudges don't work anymore. And the brain sort of has to push on the ovary harder and harder to get it to do what the brain wants it to do in order to ovulate and make an egg. And so as this becomes less and less efficient, there's a lag in the ability of the ovary to respond, and eventually it's not able to make eggs anymore, which is why as we get older and older, it becomes harder to have children. And eventually it doesn't ovulate at all, and ultimately the periods stop. And further down the road, it completely stops making hormone. So it's not like one day the ovary is doing great, making lots of hormone, and the next day, boom, it stops making hormone. It's not that way at all. It's sort of this gradual decline in responsiveness to the brain because it becomes less efficient. When you go through menopause, which we define as 12 months without a period, it doesn't mean the ovary's not making hormone. It's still making hormone. It's just not making hormone well or enough. And one of the side effects of that, besides not making eggs, is all of these symptoms that come through this menopause transition: the hot flashes, the night sweats, the mood swings, the brain fog, the inability to sleep, the weight gain, the central weight gain. All these changes that happen, vaginal dryness, are all because of this issue with the hormones not being produced by the ovary more efficiently. It's interesting, if you do a hysterectomy or surgery on a woman, in her 20s, you have these big, beautiful, plump ovaries. If you do it in her 50s, the ovaries are a little bit smaller. You can tell there's a change. You do it in the 80s, the ovaries are little teeny, like white, nothing dots. They're completely shriveled up. And so there is this sort of gradual transition, and it's not like you hit menopause, boom, you stop making hormone. There is still some hormone from the ovary, and we take advantage of that with HRT to come alongside the ovary and replace what the ovary is not making rather than completely take it over. So that's sort of how it works. I hope that's helpful for you.